In this lesson, we focus on defining basic patterns. Topics include what is a pattern and what is the purpose of defining a pattern. We also talk about finding words in sentences, a list of words, searching from the beginning or end, searching for letters, numbers, and exact numbers of letters or numbers, and finally, international characters. Moving to the working files, we look at the basic one example. In this lesson, we will be focusing on the patterns. In subsequent lessons, we'll demonstrate the code used to implement these patterns. In the first example, we're looking through a series of strings, looking for the word awesome. This is represented by the pattern that you can see on the right. The pattern starts and ends with a slash. The slash is referred to as a delimiter. Between the slashes, you simply put the word for which you're searching. You'll notice that the second line comes back with a match, whereas the fourth line does not. This is because we specified awesome in lowercase letters. In order to make the search case insensitive, you would add what is referred to as a modifier, which follows the ending delimiter. So in this pattern, it's the same as the first pattern, but we add the letter I at the end. You'll notice that this causes the match for the second and the fourth sentences. Finally, if you want to look for a list of words, you simply use the pipe symbol, which is referred to as logical OR. So this pattern looks for awesome or rocks. Again, case insensitive. Accordingly, the first and second sentences match. The third one does not. The fourth one does come back with a match. The next question is, what about searching from the beginning or the end? Also, what about searching for letters or numbers? In this example, we have a pattern that starts the search at the beginning. This is represented by the circumflex character. This tells PHP to start searching at the start of the string. The way to represent numbers can be 0-9 in square brackets, or you can use \D as well. So you'll notice in this example, the second and the fourth strings come back as a match. The first and the third do not. The second pattern demonstrates searching a list of files to find the file that is a JPEG. In this example, we use the $sign to tell PHP to search from the end of the string. We use the letter I to tell it that it's case insensitive. Accordingly, we've identified the third and the fourth examples as files that are JPEGs. In the last example, we demonstrate how to find a word by itself. This can be accomplished by encapsulating the word with the circumflex and the $sign, which means that only the word man will return a match. If we try to test it against woman, manual, or romantic, none of the three will match. Only the first example matches. This is very useful when validating user input, for example, and you wish to make sure that the user has entered specifically one word. In this example, we demonstrate how to search for letters or numbers. Letters can be represented by A to Z in square brackets or \W. Numbers can be represented as 0-9 in square brackets or \D. In this example, we show a pattern that can be used to validate a Canadian postal code. Canadian postal codes follow a very specific format. Letter, letter, space, number, letter, number. So we represent this as A-Z, 0-9, A-Z, space, and again, numbers, letters, numbers. So we see that the first and the fourth examples match, the other examples do not match. This is very useful if you need to perform validation on your website to validate or ensure that the user-supplied data follows a very specific format. It's also possible that you need to test to make sure that the user-supplied information is exactly a certain number of characters. This involves the use of what are called quantifiers. The quantifiers include asterisk, plus, question mark, a number in curly braces, or two numbers in curly braces separated with a comma. In this case, we're validating a username. We want to make sure that the username is alphanumeric, in other words, letters and numbers both. However, only 6 to 8 characters in length. We encapsulate it with the circumflex and the $sign to force it to be specifically alphanumeric 6 to 8 characters in length only. So you'll notice that the first example matches, the third example matches, the second one is too short, the fourth one is too long. Here's another example of postal codes, in this case a U.S. postal code, which is in the format of 5 digits, or 5 digits followed by dash and then 4 more digits. This is represented as \D and 5 in curly braces. This tells us exactly 5 digits in the beginning. In parentheses, we then indicate dash, \D, 4, which tells us a dash and 4 more digits. However, after the parentheses, we use the question mark. The question mark is a quantifier which represents 0 or 1 of these, which makes this optional. Accordingly, the third example matches, and the fifth example matches. It's also possible that you might want to search for one or the other. This is represented by the pipe symbol, logical OR. So in this case, we're looking for Doug or Douglas. You'll notice, however, because we use uppercase D, there are no matches. If we add the letter I, this makes the match case insensitive. So the second and third examples come back as a match. In order to support international character sets, however, we need to add the letter U at the end of the pattern. This allows us to match on what are referred to as UTF-8 encoded multi-byte international characters. So you'll notice that this set of characters at the end is represented by the set of characters within the pattern. As long as we use the U modifier, we can successfully test for characters that are coming from an international website. In review, what is a pattern? A pattern is a string which is used to describe another string. What is the purpose of defining a pattern? You need to define a pattern to tell PHP exactly what you are looking for. What pattern would find a word in a sentence? Simply include the word between the delimiters. The slash symbol is considered the delimiter. If you need the search to be case insensitive, you add the letter I at the end. What about a list of words? Include the list of words inside the delimiters separated with the pipe symbol or logical OR symbol. What pattern searches from the beginning or the end? You use the circumflex character to indicate start from the beginning. You use the $sign to indicate search at the end. How about searching for letters or numbers? You could use A-Z in square brackets for letters or \W. You could use 0-9 in square brackets for numbers or \D. Bear in mind that \W also includes numbers as well as letters. Can a pattern search for an exact number of letters or numbers? You would use a quantifier, in this case, between curly braces, the number of letters or numbers that you are looking for. What about support for international characters? This is available if you use the U modifier at the end of the pattern, in which case it will accept multi-byte international characters. This concludes our discussion of defining basic patterns.